Okay guys, so in today's episode I'm going to talk to you about lands and just give a little bit more detail because it says get land plus build plus gather resources plus craft items and spells, and it doesn't really give you too much information about that. There is a really fantastic website that I'm going to add into the description, so if you want more details than I provide, please look there. So I'm just going to start really simply that, like, how big is the lands, how many lands are there. The world of SplinterLands, they've called the world Pretoria, or at least maybe the province or the region that we live on is called Pretoria, and there's a total of 150,000 plots. And those 150,000 are broken down into what you'll call a region, and one region consists of 1,000 plots. And therefore, there'll be a total of 150 regions in this world that we'll be able to claim very soon. And of those 150 regions, basically the way a region's broken down is it's broken down into 10 tracts, and each tract is 100 plots, and within each tract is a special building known as a keep, and then one keep in a region is upgraded to a building called a castle. What they do yet, we don't know, but we know that they're valuable because in total there'll only be 150 castles in the world, because there'll be one castle per region. And then keeps will also be very important, but there'll be more of them, as there'll be 9 times 150, so there'll be 1,350 total keeps. But we don't exactly know what they do yet. In some of the AMAs, the founders have stated that keeps and castles will be like the trading port and where the resources will go, but that's it. So now that you know how much land there is and how it's broken down, when did land go on sale? The land sale was broken down into 4 stages, and I'll add the list right now. So with the first stage, which was known as the exploration stage, which sold 20%, which is 30,000 plots. 20% of the total plots were offered, and the sale was a 50% discount. So if people bought there, well done. I'm very jealous. I only came into the game after all 3 of these sales. But hey, I mean, land sold out now, so at least I got some land. The first sale happened on the 11th of November, and then the second sale, which happened within the same month, was another 20% or another 30,000 plots, and that was at a 40% deal, and I think that was on the 28th of November. And then in December was the third and final sale at 30%, where another 20% was on for sale. And that basically concluded 60% of the total land was already sold within roughly a month of lands being announced. And then it was just the last 40% was just for us normals at the normal prices that we know and love, at $20 for a plot, 1,700 for a tract, and 15,000 for a region. There was an exception, and that exception was Brave, because Brave became a major sponsor of SplinterLands, and they had a nice collaboration and a lot of tournaments. And for 1 month, basically, if you bought regions with Brave token, you could get an extra 20% off. Apart from the sale giving great prices on land, the 2 other things it provided was it provided titles. So if you bought land during this time, you would have either gotten the title Explorer as well as Praetorian. So Explorer was given to people that bought a tract, which is 100 plots, and a Praetorian was somebody that bought a region, which is 1,000 plots. But unfortunately, titles are no longer available to us, and you have to buy them on the third-party website, or you got to buy them from a player now, basically. And then the other thing is, people that bought lands early on, it's the same thing as buying packs now, and you get eligible for an airdrop or like a little mini raffle. People got raffled totems, and a totem is basically an NFT that you can place on your land to increase the rate that either resources generate or that your workers produce on the land, or anything along those lines. And totems came in the same rarity that we know and love, so you can get common, rare, epic, and legendary totems. And some legendary totems have been selling at ridiculously expensive prices. I think on average they sell for $500 to $700 US, which at the time is like half a tract, which is fucking crazy to me. But you know, it is what it is. However, I think in an AMA, one of the founders did mention that totems are coming back, and there will be ways for newer players to obtain them. But as you can tell by the prices of a legendary totem, I'm sure it will be very difficult to obtain them. But yeah, hopefully they come back and I can pick some up. So how will the lands be broken up? So what will most likely happen is, in end of quarter 2 of this year or the beginning of quarter 3, basically we'll be able to start claiming our lands, and I think it's just like a first come first serve, and the map will be blank, and then you'll just claim however many plots or tracks or regions. We're a bit unsure, but it should be exciting. And then at the end of quarter 4, that's when you'll start be able to, so in quarter 2 you'll basically be able to see your land, see what type it is, see what like rarity it is, and then in quarter 4 we'll be able to start playing the Empire Builder and basically start crafting cards and explore the new expansion of SplinterLands basically. So now we're going to quickly speak about the unique properties of each plot. Each plot will basically have 3 types of properties, and those 3 types of properties will be your terrain type, your resource type, and your rarity type. So there are when it says terrain type, there are 14 different types of terrains, and those terrains are plains, hills, tundra, swamp, bog, mountain, canyon, caldera, river, lake, forest, jungle, desert, and badlands. And basically, as you can see on the map here, there'll be different colors, and from the way my brain works, I understand that there are 6 splinters, and there's 14 types of terrain, so that's your 6 splinters will each have 2 types of terrain, and then your last 2 might be neutral, or they might be the castles, or they might be unknown, I'm not too sure. But definitely, for example, the water splinter will have the lakes and the rivers, the nature will have the forest and the jungle, and then maybe like swamp and bog would be death, but I'm not, and then yeah, that's just how my brain works, and that's what I expect to happen. So that's your terrain type. So your terrain type will basically dictate whether or not what type of monsters and summoners can work on that land. And then you get what is known as your resource type. So there are 3 types of resources, and the most common one is just going to be called a neutral resource, in which there's even then 4 types of neutral resources, and those resources are wheat, wood, ore, and stone. So think Age of Empires. So neutral land, as I mentioned, will be the most common type of resource, and then with these type of neutral lands, you'll use them basically to craft buildings and to maintain your land. So on neutral land, they've stated that you'll be able to build harvesting buildings, refining buildings, as well as storage buildings. Okay, so let's say that you had a wood natural resource. If you were to do a harvesting, you might have to build a lumber mill. But if you had to do a refinery, you might build like a little manufacturing plant that can then take the wood and then refine it into a more refined version of the wood. And then obviously storage would just be a warehouse. So the next type, or the next 2 types, are both way more rare. So the second type is magical land, which is broken down into the 6 splinters, and each one has their own different types of magical resource. So you'll be able to, if you have a magical forest, that will definitely be the earth magical. You'll be able to collect like earth magical. They each got their own unique names. I'll post them here, you can enjoy. And then the other one is going to be called occupied, which means that it's occupied by monsters, and therefore you've got to kill these monsters and resource their rare essence. I don't want to say guts and stuff like that, but classic MMORPG, kill the boar, collect the meat. And then basically with magical and occupied resources, you will use those to craft items and spell cards. So those will be the more rarer resources will help you create the more rarer cards. And the final type is just simply rarity, and this is just your plot will either be common, rare, epic, or legendary. And so for example, you'll basically get, when you unbox in quarter 2 or quarter 3, you'll see like a common neutral plains, or a legendary magical swamp, or a epic occupied badlands, for example, stuff like that. So I hope this helps. I'm sorry I didn't get this video out before the plots were sold out. I didn't expect them to sell out so quickly. This is honestly the 3rd time I've recorded this, just because it takes a lot of time. But yeah, I hope that you guys are able to get some plots and maybe on the 3rd-party market. If not, I know that a lot of people will be renting out their plots, and as you can see from cards, renting is pretty cheap. So if you do want to play this world builder and you haven't got any plots, I don't think you should worry too much, because you are able to rent. So please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what you want me to do next. And if you're a new player, please use the promo code and I'll happily send you the 0.5 US dollars back to you. It just lets me know that people are watching and using the promo, and I'm helping new players join the community. Also, if you find me on the Discord, just pop me a message. I'll happily delegate any of the new players some power